Ready when you are.
Okay. Today I'm going to be talking about Eli Wiesel's speech titled Perils of Indifference. Indifference to human suffering is ironically a great contributor to human suffering. Think of the Holocaust. If someone had cared enough to take action sooner, millions of lives could have been saved from death, torture, and abuse. We often turn away from suffering because it is easier for us to ignore it. But what if you were paying the cost of indifference? In the next 15 minutes, you are going to learn about Wiesel, the Holocaust, and the cost of human indifference. Finally, we will examine how Wiesel's speech intended to help bring change and empower people to help their fellow humans. Firstly, it is helpful to know more about the speaker and the context of the speech. Wiesel's personal experiences made him the perfect voice for human suffering and the cost of indifference. Eli Wiesel was born on September 30th, 1928 in Siha, Transylvania, which is now part of Romania. Unfortunately, he was born in the wrong place at the wrong time, as the Nazis had captured him and his family when he was just 15 years of age, when most of us are just starting high school. His entire family was taken to Auschwitz concentration camp in southern Poland. His mother and younger sister died at Auschwitz. His father and him were taken to Buchenwald, which was another concentration camp, where his father died shortly before it was liberated in April 1945. Eli's older sisters, his two older sisters, and him were the only ones who survived out of his family. After the war, he went to school in Paris, France, where he wanted to become a journalist. During an interview with a French writer, François Maric, he was persuaded to write about his experiences in the death camps. As a result, he went on to write his world-acclaimed novel titled Night, describing his experiences in the concentration camps. And his book is now translated into more than 30 languages around the world. He also went on to earn many recognitions and awards. In 1978, President Jimmy Carter appointed him as chairman on the President's Commission on the Holocaust. In 1980, he became the founding chairman of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Council. He is the president of the Eli Wiesel Foundation for Humanity, which battles indifference, injustice, and inhumanity. He also defends the causes of lots of other people besides just Jews. He's defended the causes of Soviet Jews, Nicaragua's, Mosquito Indians, Argentina's Disparidos, Cambodian refugees, the Kurds, victims of famine and genocide in Africa, and victims of war in former Yugoslavia. He received more than 100 honorary degrees from institutions of higher education. Teaching was always at his heart. Since 1976, he has been the Andrew W. Mellon Professor in the Humanities at Boston University. He also has the title of University Professor, and he was the first Henry Luce Visiting Scholar in Humanities and Social Thought at Yale. He's won numerous medals for his humanitarian work, including the National Humanities Medal. As you can see, Wiesel was able to move past his horrific imprisonment in the concentration camps to become an inspiration to people all around the world. Unfortunately, the Holocaust robbed many people of that chance. The Nazis did not believe you worthy of life unless you were like them. They showed no mercy. It began in 1933 and ended in 1945. The Holocaust means sacrifice by fire. Another Hebrew word used to describe it is Shoah, which means devastation, ruin, or waste. That word is also used to describe the Holocaust. wasn't just the concentration camps. They also persecuted Jews. They made them wear the Star of David to show that they were Jewish, and they burned down their houses. They excluded them from having jobs, and many other horrific things. 11 million people died at the hands of the Nazis during the Holocaust. Roughly 10% of the 11 million people slaughtered were children. The term Nazi is an acronym for National Socialist German Workers' Party. The Nazis used the term final solution to refer to their plan to murder the Jewish people and make a perfect race. On April 1st, 1933, the Nazis announced a boycott of all Jewish-run businesses. They created ghettos for them to live in and many anti-Jewish laws, excluding them from parks, jobs, etc., as I mentioned earlier. They titled one night the Night of Broken Glass, where they rampaged businesses, homes, etc. After the war started, the Star of David was often worn as a symbol that they were not the ideal race and they were going to be targeted and persecuted. 2/3 of the Jewish population living in Europe at the time of World War II were killed by the Nazis. And Jews were also not the only target of their hatred. They also targeted homosexuals, disabled people, gypsies, Jehovah's Witnesses, etc. Life in the concentration camps was brutal. Thousands of people died of starvation or were worked to death. Many more were shot, killed in gas chambers, or died during unethical medical experiments. The concentration camps were liberated on April 11, 1945 by the Allied forces, but unfortunately that was much too late for millions of people. Now that we know more about our speaker and the events that led up to his speech, we can examine it in more detail. Elie Wiesel's speech was widely supported at the time it was delivered, partly in fact because the events of the Holocaust were recently in the minds of people around the world. Wiesel used many techniques to make his speech so effective. He started off his speech by addressing his audience directly. He used powerful quotations and vivid imagery throughout his speech to keep his audience's interest. He repeats his goal to fight indifference throughout the speech. And now I'm going to watch a video clip.
Of course, indifference can be tempting. More than that, seductive. It is so much easier to look away from victims. It is so much easier to avoid such rude interruptions to our work, our dreams, our hopes. It is, after all, awkward, troublesome to be involved in another person's pain and despair. Does it mean that we have learned from the past? Does it mean that society has changed? as the human being become less indifferent and more human? Have we really learned from our experiences? Are we less sensitive to the plight of victims of ethnic cleansing and other forms of injustices in places near and far?
One of his quotations was, "What is indifference?" The word technically means no difference, a strange and unnatural darkness, dusk and dawn, crime and punishment, cruelty and compassion, good and evil. I think that quotation alone is very powerful. One of my favorite quotations of his was, "He was finally free, but there was no joy in his heart." He used this quotation at the beginning of his speech to describe a boy who had been liberated from a concentration camp, how it robs you not only of your present, but of your future as well. Another one of my favorite quotations is, "Indifference is not a beginning, it is an end." People are united together in our suffering or in our joy. It's our choice to do something or to sit and watch. He repeated his goal to fight indifference throughout his speech. To be indifferent to that suffering is what makes the human being inhuman. In his speech, he said there are three types of people: the killer, the victim, and the bystander. Which one are you? Is being a bystander just as bad as being the one who pulls the trigger? Weasel would say it is. Without people to fight injustice, it'll never stop. Knowing some history about the Holocaust and the speaker allowed us to reach a new level of understanding regarding his speech. Elie Wiesel's past resulted in him becoming a powerful vehicle for change. He was able to speak with such accuracy and emotion regarding the Holocaust specifically, and human indifference in general because of his experiences. The speech was a powerful voice to change the way we view human suffering. No one else could have said it better than Wiesel himself. He ended his speech by saying, "Together we walk towards the new millennium, carried by profound fear and extraordinary hope." Thank you.